Thank you so much for being here today. We want to talk to you about the railway to success and how you, the AAR, can steward a path forward for the rail industry. Your industry is critical to the United States. 40% of goods in the US are moved by freight. The freight industry has an economic output of over $200 billion, and nearly 4 jobs are created from every single rail job. And I'm Evan Stotsky.
I'm Jack MacKinnon.
And we're the Eisenberg Innovation Consultants, and we're excited to present to you the AAR leadership team. We want to talk about our central ethical question. How can the AAR support its members to prioritize safety without sacrificing operational efficiency and long-term success? We need to consider our stakeholders first. The AAR has a role to steward the entire industry along with the larger rail economy and everyone who participates in it. We're going to talk you through our agenda. We're going to start with an overview of the industry before talking about our research and ending with our detailed recommendations.
Our research had 3 pillars: stewardship, along with transparency and trust. We found 3 preliminary options for you. You can maintain the course of limited regulation. The other side is adopting prescriptive-based regulations. However, finding the balance between them is how you're able to steward the industry forward and maintain your leadership with your role. You need to regulate yourself before someone who knows less regulates you, and you are one major accident away from this happening. This is why our train framework is based around performance-based regulations, innovation, and safety to maintain yourself as a leader in this industry, which Evan will touch on.
So let's talk about the industry. There's been lots of legislation over the last 100 years that has been passed and led to what happened in East Palestine in 2023. I want to talk about the Staggers Act of 1980. This deregulated the entire industry and increased profits, increased efficiency, decreased rates, and somehow at the same time decreased train accidents by 77%, proving that deregulation can improve safety along with efficiency and profits. Now, in 1993, precision scheduled railroading helped increase company efficiency, and that is now an industry standard that most use today. The AAR, as a leader in the industry, helps steward the safety practices with various measures, along with being an advocate for performance-based regulations. So why are performance-based regulations so important? Prescriptive regulation hurts innovation by crystallizing a certain moment of safety in time. It doesn't allow for new safety innovations, new safety developments to be adopted to railways as they can become safer because of that.
Let's talk about what happened in East Palestine on February 3rd, 2023. A Norfolk Southern train carrying various hazardous chemicals derailed, and from there, a large accident occurred. The largest part was the toxic chemicals that seeped into the environment, affecting the community, and most importantly, the first responders during, at the time, the industry standard of a controlled vent and burn. We did learn from it the preventive measures that can help prevent derailments. What we really need to learn from it is what happens when derailments happen, and the clear communication process that needs to happen between first responders, the community, and the employees of these companies. The reason why is the incident in East Palestine is not an anomaly for the industry. 3 derailments happen every day, and since 1975, there's been over 460 deaths and over 130,000 derailments. Your industry still has derailments since this large incident, and you need to be the leader in this space, which Evan will begin with our research.
So let's talk about this from an ethical perspective. Your mission statement as the AAR is to add value to the rail industry through safety, efficiency, and security. You need to balance your stakeholder interests of public safety on one hand and efficiency and profits on the other, and you can fulfill your mission by doing that. You can also fulfill your mission statement by focusing on stewardship and making sure you're not sacrificing safety, the environment, or the community for short-term financial gains. I also want to talk about legal. The Interstate Commerce Act of 1887 added regulation to the rail industry, and through that, most regulation is done at a federal level because of constitutional clauses like the Supremacy Clause and the Dormant Commerce Clause. And because of that, most action in the rail industry is done through Congress and also executive agencies. In 2023, in the wake of the East Palestine derailment, 19 states were considering legislation on rail safety. The states are crying out for action because there's nothing happening at a federal level. Now, there's so many settlements and litigation as a result of this East Palestine derailment. There's the $310 million cleanup costs, the $600 million class action settlement that could rise even higher. And that's not to mention various ongoing wrongful death lawsuits. There's a lawsuit from a puppy breeder from a restaurant. There are security class action lawsuits from investors with safety concerns. We don't know what the cost of this derailment is going to be for Norfolk Southern. It could be much higher than we think today. The Railroad Safety Act of 2023 was introduced in response to the East Palestine disaster. It did not pass. It was reintroduced again in 2025, and it stalled out. Federal regulators are not passing legislation despite states wanting it to happen. Nothing is happening at the federal level.
So, to touch on our financial research, to look at your industry, it is consolidating. Union Pacific this summer announced looking to acquire Norfolk Southern. And from this, there's rumors of BNSF acquiring CSX. When companies merge, there's always safety concerns, and this is being extrapolated by a potential duopoly in transcontinental rail companies. Now, what these safety concerns come from, we need to also touch on the costs. Implementing safety regulations is going to cost a lot, but it's necessary, and the federal government recognizes this, allocating funds for increasing your rail infrastructure. Through this, increasing safety on the rails has economic benefits. The less derailments from increased safety causes less time when the rails are shut down. In East Palestine, the rails were shut for 2 days, and Evan touched on the economic impact that the rail industry has. As he also touched on, the litigation that comes from not acting is high, but for the investor side, it's uncertainty. Uncertainty from litigation, uncertainty on the economic impacts, and uncertainty on the social. There's one thing investors dislike, it's uncertainty. And we're seeing this through the board activism that has happened recently with your major member companies. There's been CEO shakeups, different board makeups, and this is looking to prioritize safety as they've clearly stated both in this and also in annual shareholder meetings. Finding a balanced approach is financially responsible for your industry. Your companies need to have clear paths that give investors confidence and it allows your local communities to be safe and maintain the overall rail economy. So let's touch on our recommendations. We want to help you get on track for a culture of safety, and it starts with our train framework. Again, it's performance-based regulations, innovation, and safety. It starts with training your organization. You need to make real change in creating and maintaining a culture of safety from the top down in all your member companies. It's training your employees to report any safety concerns, having various means for them to be able to report it, and having a board that allows action to be done. It's as simple as creating a flyer with a QR code that allows you to prevent accidents.
We think that you should regulate yourselves voluntarily. What that looks like is creating a regulatory regime on your standards and showing that you are a leader for the industry and you can be trusted by all stakeholders as a steward of it. What that looks like is we recommend that you adopt the NTSB recommendations that they issued in the report following the East Palestine disaster. We also think that you should adopt various safety measures that make sense as they were directly related to the East Palestine derailment, including hot bearing detector regulation, along with redefining high hazardous flammable trains. The actionable step you can take tomorrow as the AAR is to create a certificate of safety that you award to companies that adopt your safety measures.
We want your industry to always be innovating. During a time of self-regulation, you need to have innovation as there's emerging technologies that can allow for increased efficiency but maintain a high standard of safety. Your subsidiary, the MXV Rail, and their strategic research initiative will be critical in this. They have consistently provided development and testing on materials, resources, and any safety precautions, and we want the member companies to work closely with them.
You want to intersect the AAR, its member companies, and the government. What this looks like is collaboration and communication. We think you should have quarterly meetings with legislatures and relevant committees in Congress and also the White House to communicate what your safety standards are, and also working with Congress to codify your performance-based regulations into law.
Our last recommendation is the long-term strategy for the AAR, navigating a consolidating industry. Your data collection needs to transition from voluntary to mandatory, as during this time, you need to be a leader in data collection to be a leader in safety. And so with that, we want to recap. Our train is balancing performance-based regulations and safety.
Our great leaders have understood the importance of the rail industry, and we know you do too. Thank you, and we're now open to questions. Just so we're close, so we can.
All right, Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? Mr. If 1 question. Can you repeat your question? M
there's many things that the rail industry can do to regain the trust of the community and everyone involved. You can start with, from a technical perspective, of adopting the NTSB recommendations. You can also mandate hot bearing detectors 15 miles in between them and other various hot bearing detector regulation. You can also redefine the high hazardous flammable train to make sure that all chemicals that are toxic and flammable are included in the definition.
More than just technical, it's about the emotional side. As Evan mentioned, there's wrongful death, there's puppies dying. You need to have a clear communication strategy that shows the people of East Palestine that this is more than just increased costs for Norfolk Southern. It's something that affected the community, and we will never know how long the effects will be for them.